issues. You know what I mean? I suffered from, like I said, the emotional side of things. Like, so all of that played a role into, you know what I mean, a lot of things that I had issues with in relationships. But the one thing that I did, like, learn from that and grow from it is for me to be like a better father to my kids. So I'm always available. I try to make time that, you know, for all my kids, you know, because they all in different ages. And I even take on the role of, you know, two other kids that's not biologically mine, but I never view them any different from my kids. You know, but just that horrible, sometimes, like, you know, I do have moments where I do get emotional about it because you know, and there's no disrespect to my mom, like, my door is still open to her, but I can't call my mom and have those kind of conversations with her about life and, you know, support, because I didn't have it growing up. You know what I mean? You know, so my dad was around later on in the picture, but come to find out the reason he wasn't around is because of my mom and, you know, how she felt about him. So she kind of, you know, made me feel a certain way about him, having me sitting there looking out the window waiting on him to come, and she already knew he wasn't coming. You know what I mean? Because she was mad at him. So it's so many, you know, so many characteristics that you pick up on, you know, as you progress in life, and you realize that you're, you know, passing those traits on to, you know, some of those traits on to my kids. So I just try to make sure, you know what I mean, that I talk to my kids, that I communicate with my kids, that, you know, that they can call me and talk to me about anything. Now, granted, if I got girls who's older, and they, you know, they probably won't initially, but, you know, but I struggle with a lot of stuff until I you know, went and seek counseling, consultation with myself, and, you know, that's when I realized, like, I had to make some changes because it was affecting my job performance, it was affecting my relationship with my kids, and, you know, and to this day, like I said, you know, it affected my relationships with women, you know what I mean, especially from a long-term standpoint with trust issues and, you know, so forth. So that's just a little backdrop about, you know what I mean, my situation and growing up in that type of environment, you know, with my mom, you know, and not having the support of a mom, the love of a mom. You know,
so do you think that is why you are so close to your kids? Are you using that relationship to fill the void that you didn't have with your mother? So, you know, because I'm just going to put it out there. You have a host of kids. Like, do you feel like you had to have a big family to feel that missing part of...
No, because, like, my father's side of the family, like, we always had, like, family reunions and stuff. And my dad was, like, he was a man's man. Like, he worked to provide for us. And he always taught family to us. Because, like, on my growing up, like, we had, like, a blended family. You know, he married you know, his wife or whatever at the time. He had died of a heart attack. But he married her, and she had kids, older kids. So I always wanted a big family because I always liked the family aspect of things. But to answer your question, I don't think me having that type of, me having kids like that and being so close to my kids can, you know, fill a void of having that mom and son relationship. Like, I still have a void there because I don't have that. So what I do try to do in terms of it, I just try to make sure that I become a better father and a better parent for my kids. So my kids can always have memories of nothing else in life, because that's what you have in life. Like, you have money, you can have this, that, and other. But if you don't have those memories with your family, then I feel like that's the void. And it's a big void with me because I don't have a lot of memories, great memories with my mom. They were all kind of like, you know, PTSD, like, you know what I mean, like stress, you know what I mean, trauma related, because, you know, it's survival mode. You know what I mean? I still remember, like, people pulling guns on me. I remember the dude, like, the clothes he wore. I was like 10 or 11. I don't remember, like, all these birthday parties that people had, and, you know what I mean? Like, so, those, you know what I mean? So that void can't be filled. Like, I just think the kid thing is, I always wanted a big family, and I always wanted to be a better parent than both of my parents were to me. And it's not to take away from what my dad did, but he worked a lot, you know what I mean? And he wasn't there a lot. So, you know, you still, again, without that void. Now, we had conversations, and I appreciate everything he does for me, because he, like I said, he was a man's man. But, like, there was a lot of times he wasn't there because he worked double. And then you look back on it when you get older, you're like, oh, he worked all this because food is expensive. You know what I mean? Because if you want to go on vacation, you got to work extra hours. You got all these kids that got needs, you know what I mean? From the baby to the 18-year-old, you know what I mean? So I get his work ethic. But still, though, I mean, you still didn't have those. Now, I had a lot of moments because we had family reunions and things of that nature, but he worked a lot until he got hurt in the job, and that's what used to drive me to school, and that's when we became real tight. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, God takes stuff away from you so you can be present in other places. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but definitely, the big family is always one of the big family. I always want to be a better parent to my kids than they were to me.
Right.
But there's no, like, you know what I mean? I get it from, as I got older, but it still hurts me with my mom because, like, people can call their mom and talk to their mom. People can hang out with their mom and have those kind of conversations. I can't have those. Like, and I talk to my mom, but it's not on that level.
But y'all might get on that level one day. It's never too late. I tell people that about their fathers. It's never too late. I think TT had a question that she wanted to ask you.
At what point did you decide to become a counselor?
All right, so this is actually a funny story. After growing up, I always wanted to know, like, because, when you're a kid, you don't understand. Like, before substance abuse became substance abuse, you just knew, like, there was something going on. And I always wanted to know what was going on, but I had an uncle, that was schizophrenic that lived with us. And he used to, like, if he didn't take his medicine, he would literally tear the house up. I thought this dude was, like, the Hulk or whatever. But I never understood him. Like, I couldn't understand it until I got older when they was like, he got sick to Mickey. And, if he don't take his medicine, he'll talk to himself. He'll think he, like, whatever he gets his mind, take him there. That's what it is. But I always feel like I always worked, like, I started at, like, 14 at a summer camp.
Okay.
And then at a summer camp, it started, like, every year at summer camp. Then I became like a village director, but I wasn't even old enough. They felt like my leadership skills were there for me to be a village director. I was like a village director over 160 kids and like 12 staff, at 17, but you were supposed to be 8. So then every summer I would go back. I used to work at this youth center called, Rebecca Youth Center, and I was like a counselor there, a summer counselor. And I always had all of the bad kids, so to speak. And then I had this one kid who was autistic, like autistic with that, but I was able to do it. But to speed the process up, I was working as a behavior aide at high school with the kids by the name of Deontay, who I still talk to now. And he had questions about his dad. He asked me, he said, "Man, you think I should talk to my mom about my dad?" I was like, "Man, I don't know, but if you feel like it's on your heart, then I say yeah." You know what I mean? Like, if she don't want to tell you, then that's between, she don't have to tell you. But if you really want to know what's up with your dad, you need to talk to your mom.
Right.
And she snapped and was like, took me off her case, like, "I don't want you to talk to my son about his dad. Mind your business, da da da." At the time, I was in school for special education, but I realized, like, special education wasn't for me. And then she said, "You ain't no counselor." But she said in those words, but she like, "You ain't no blah blah counselor." And that's when it clicked in my head, like, you're right. So now I'm gonna go to school to become a counselor, and that's what triggered me to become. And it's always been like that. Like, I don't like for people to tell me what I can't do. You know
Right.
And anytime I feel like that, then I feel like I'm pushed to make a better decision for my future based on the comment, especially if I feel like it affected me directly. So that's what inspired me to become a counselor, to get into the mental health field.
Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually tell people, ways of mental illness. We're going to actually talk about the mental illness. Your story is actually a lot of people's story. That's the funny part. We all think that our story is the same. I mean, it's different, but a lot of us have the same story.
I think we all have some mental illness in us. And
a lot of it comes from our mom or our father being absent, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, that missing void, something traumatic has happened in our lives.
Death.
And a lot of us can't heal from that, and we stay stuck. So now that, we've talked about how you became a counselor, we've talked about, I got into your business a little bit. Put your personal out there a little bit. We're just going to talk a little bit about, the illness itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let everybody know, what is mental illness.
Well, I mean, it's so many. It's like it's a variety, but like it's really just a condition you know, with regard to like psychological or the person's emotional well-being, and it just depends on where you align with, you know, mental health. You know what I mean? Like I said, I know we talked about, you know, depression. We talked about anxiety disorders, personality disorders, eating disorders. It's, you know, substance abuse.
What about bipolar? Is that in that category?
All of this, bipolar is part of mood disorders. So, you know, it's all of it. It's like I said, it's mood disorders, it's anxiety, it's personality disorders, it's like I said, I mean, schizophrenia, it's eating disorder, it's trauma. You know what I mean? It's substance abuse. Like those are like the main, you know, characteristics of mental health. You know, and I think at some point in life, everybody will fall in one of those type of categories.
Right.
I agree. Based on your life experiences and what happened afterwards.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how it becomes the mental health part, because what are you doing after you, say for instance, people who've been in tornadoes, you know what I mean? That's stuff from PTSD, you know what I mean? Or people who've been raped or molested. Like, what happens afterwards is what becomes the illness part of things, you know what I mean? So now you have to figure out, how can I get help? Like, how can I, you know what I mean, figure out if I'm diagnosed with X, Y, Z? How can I, you know what I mean, take a test to find out if I'm depression?
But how many of us actually are going to go to counseling? And when I say us, I mean African Americans. And I'm not pointing the finger. I'm just saying we just have this strong demeanor about our culture. We feel we don't want anybody telling us or coaching us or telling our business
to. It ain't even that. It's the fact that people have always told us that if you go see a counselor, you're crazy. You know what I mean? Like, right. That's what black people, African American people are taught. That if you go see somebody, you're crazy. But since I've been in mental health, my opinion on it now is that if you don't go see somebody now, you're crazy.
Right.
Like, you have to figure out how can you get from A to Z, but literally take the steps versus just going A to Z. Like, you got to take the steps to get there. And you know what I mean? Like, breakdown in life, like people always say, life is the greatest teacher. It is. And now it's like, what are you going to do to get help? Because you need it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go through all these phases in life and not go talk to somebody. And like I said, you have to find that somebody who fits your personality.
Well, what about God? You know, not to cut you off, but you know, the first thing we say is, I don't need nobody but God. I just need to take my problems to God. Well, I will tell you now.
I've been there. Good faith.
I've been there, going through my first divorce, and I was depressed, and I thought about suicide, and I thought about a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't go see a counselor, but I think I need one now and not drink so much wine. But
so let me ask you this though, because my thing is like I believe in God. You know what I mean? I believe everything about the whole. You know what I mean? I don't want to get into religion.
Okay.
But my thing is, what happens after you go to church? What happens after you talk to the pastor? What happens after you...
Sometimes you feel better. I mean, your faith has to be strong. You have to be a real faith-based person.
But did anybody give you any technique? Did anybody talk to you about strategy? Did anybody come up with any kind of models for you to follow? Did anybody give you any type of technique? Like, so those are the things that get you through what you need. Like I said, for me, like, I think I'm big on transparency and I'm big on reality. You know what I mean? But in reality therapy, like, it's all about, like, you gotta have balance. You know what I mean? With reality. You gotta learn to make effective choices. You know what I mean? And the number one thing what people don't want to do, you gotta accept responsibility. Like, where's your responsibility in this role? Because this quote I heard before, like, it's not your fault, you know what I mean, what happened to you, but it's your responsibility to fix it. Like, that's sometimes, like, stuff happened in life, it wasn't your fault. But what do you owe yourself to fix this? It's your responsibility to fix these issues. And if you don't fix these issues, what will happen is you pass these traits on to other people every time. To your kids.
Okay.
To your friends. To your coworkers.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. If you do you think you can recover from mental illness?
Yeah, why can't you? Like, the thing is like I said, the first thing you gotta do, like I said, you have to find somebody who fits what you do. Second is, can you be honest with this person